Hey guys, this is where we left off in our last video, talking about some of this copper ore stuff over here. And we kind of ended up in this place where, okay, so China's been trading with Turkey, right? But then this passage goes on to talk about some issues with elemental composition. We knew this was coming. And the issue is that sometimes the numbers, the percentages change during processing, what we call processing. What does that mean? Let's jump over here. Processing is like this, okay? Maybe you guys have seen some kind of pictures or like how it's made or something like that. But this is the idea. This like hot yellow red stuff over here, that is metal, right? That's not water. It's metal, and we melt the metal down until it's liquid, which is like crazy anyways, for starters. But we do this, and then we like shape it into stuff. So this is being shaped into bricks right now, which is cool. But you can shape it into all sorts of things, steel beams that are used to create, homes or skyscrapers for that matter, which is all kinds of stuff like that, right? So this is what happens. And in the, maybe Bronze Era, they were using it to more so shape stuff into like weapons and things like that, or, in our case, these pots that we're looking at. But this is the idea here as well. So maybe you've seen this in some kind of, I don't know, they have images like this in fantasy series and things like that. But, you've got the guy like hammering away at something and the sparks are flying, and then that's cool too, but you have to heat that up as well. So this is sort of our idea, this is our starting point, right? Now, what's the issue here? I mean, this seems pretty straightforward, okay? So you melt the stuff down. I mean, we started with, as we know, so if we come over here, we started with this rock, yeah? So we have this rock, and it's got a bunch of stuff in it. That's what we talked about. It has copper, it has iron, it has all these things, and we did our little, percentage calculation, boop, boop, boop. It's got a lot of stuff in there. And so when we come over here and we're doing this process, we're melting it down, our goal is actually to sort of separate that out. And it does separate it out. You need a lot of heat to get these metals to, separate from each other and from the other things that they've bonded with, oxygen and things like that. But this is our whole idea. Now, here's the issue. Sometimes when we heat this stuff up a whole bunch, different metals have different evaporation points. Now, I know that sounds also crazy, right? You don't usually walk outside your house and think to yourself, gee, I wonder what temperature I would have to heat my car up to make it evaporate. But this is the idea. These are high, insanely high temperatures, really high temperatures. And some of the stuff, so this up here, this is the evaporating metals, okay? Some of the stuff evaporates, it's metal evaporating, which is crazy. But again, so if we go back to our picture, if these numbers don't match exactly, we're not going to think that that's where this pot came from. We're not going to think, oh yes, this pot came from China, unless these numbers are all identical to these numbers over here. What's the issue? Well, over here in Sweden, these numbers are really close, right? I mean, some of these numbers are identical, some of them are just a little bit off, and that little bit off could be caused by this evaporation, or just any kind of craziness that happens in this process of melting it down and separating things out, and some stuff gets lost, and maybe some of this splashes over the edge or something. I mean, whatever happens. But different portions of different elements can end up getting, separated out or all kinds of things. And then what happens is, so, you could imagine, maybe, Sweden dug up this rock over here, and this was the percentage of that rock. And then, they go over and they're like, okay, let's melt it down, let's make some stuff out of it. Something evaporates off, and now all of a sudden, well, the numbers look like this. Now, what does that mean? That means that this pot that we found in Turkey, so we dug up this pot in Turkey that was also from the Bronze Age, and this pot actually did come from Sweden, right? It actually came from Sweden, but the numbers don't match, and so we don't think that it came from Sweden. We think that it came from somewhere else, and we keep on looking. And that's obviously a problem, right? Okay, if your data collection method is preventing you from finding the actual true answer, then your data collection method is flawed. And that's what they're talking about here, right? So, take this information, armed with this knowledge, let's go attack the next couple of questions. Similar idea, let's do it.